Crow Wing County Historic Courthouse. Do we have the, we got it running?
1 second. Sean just went to turn it on, so if you can just hold on 1 second. He was going to give me the heads up.
YouTube just informed me we're live. So I'll call to order the Brainerd City Council meeting. Welcome everybody who's here tonight and to our 36 YouTube subscribers who are watching right now. We'll start the meeting with roll call.
Stunek.
Here.
Pritchett.
Here.
Bevins.
Here.
Badeau.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
Lampert.
Here.
Johnson.
Here,
Mink.
Present.
please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That brings us to the approval of the agenda. Looking for a motion.
Move to approve.
I'll
A
second.
motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Next up is the consent calendar. Notice to public, all matters listed are considered routine by the council and will all be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless good cause is shown prior to the time the council votes on the motion to be adopted by roll call.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion by Lambert, second by Pritchett to adopt the consent calendar. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote by roll call.
Stunek.
Yes.
Pritchett.
Yes.
Bevins.
Yes.
Badeau.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Lampert.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes, that motion carries. It brings us to the sixth item on our agenda, which is presentations, and we have the Senior Center's annual report. Come on up.
I think I saw them bring donuts in.
Oh, they did. They did.
Oh, she's got visual aids.
Right here.
Yeah, the mic, the podium
The podium
facing
right
us.
there, please.
Donuts cake.
Ooh, free donuts. I don't think we can accept those.
As long
can we?
as they're less than $5, we're okay.
Yeah.
Don't need a report since they brought donuts.
Yeah.
I think I get it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So if you look inside your newsletter, there's a packet of information, and the top one is on our letterhead. That's a letter to all of you explaining what we do financially with our half-mil levy. Thank you for inviting us to come tonight, by the way. So as you review that, maybe we'll just kind of hit some of the highlights this past year. The center celebrated our 40th anniversary in August. Some of you attended. Monumental thing for us to celebrate, being a nonprofit in the Lakes area for 40 years and having a successful nonprofit for that many years and being in our own facility and managing that is a testament to the hundreds of volunteers and 1,600 members that we have that we serve in our community. So if you weren't able to attend, our annual meeting is Thursday, starts at 1 o'clock. It's held in the Great Room. We'll be re-electing some board members to fill additional terms. No new board members joining the board this year. Gives you a chance to meet our board of directors, hear from some of our groups, some of the things we've done this past year. One of the things that's happening fairly often right now is we have a choir, and they've been performing at area assisted living facilities, the hospital, here in the courthouse underneath the dome. This time of year, they transcend from patriotic music. In a couple weeks, they'll be doing Christmas music. In the spring, they do Easter. And they kind of make a routine of 20 to 30 places in our community. It's a great testament for who and what we are, and a great way for those who love to sing to give back to our community as a whole. Do you have any questions of me? Page 18 shows our calendar of events. We do 50 to 54 activities Monday through Friday. We accommodate what people tend to want to have happen, but if they have a new idea and are willing to try something, we try it. And for a while, it may struggle to get legs, and then all of a sudden, you have 20 to 30 people participating. Number-wise, volunteer hours so far this year through October, 17,006. If we stay projecting where we're at, we will have over 20,000 volunteer hours in 2019. That's huge. That's a lot more than last year even. It's wonderful. Individual users coming and going, it could be the same person maybe doing 3 times in a week, or it could be this one person who comes once a month. We average over 2,000 a month, and for the year, we should reach 25,800 and some. Pretty solid numbers for what we do and who we are. Not everything happens in our facility. We play tennis and pickleball at Gregory Park. We play golf out at Cragen's. We have a walking group that walks the north side no matter what time of year. If it's really cold, they will walk to Franklin and then walk inside. So we have good use of our own space and space beyond our walls. Dale Parks is president of the board.
I'm basically here to give her support. Some of the things that Deanne didn't mention that we also make available are rides like to the state fair, to Twins games. Sometimes we kind of a package deal with a dinner at the center and then go to the Franklin Arts Center or to some other facility to have kind of a dinner and play or whatever the activity may be. Just last week, or I guess it was last week, we used our facility to host a veterans meeting, or I should say a dinner. We had gotten a donation, used our facility, and we had 132 vets and their significant others. So it's a type of event that it's the second year in a row that we've done that, but we have been looking for things that we can do to assist the community. And as Deanne mentioned, your support is really appreciated, not only financially, but you let us have Mr. Stunek once in a while as your liaison, and other things that do happen. We really appreciate that support. So I want to tell you again, thank you for the financial and the other support you give us. Are there any other questions?
Well, thanks for coming in and giving us an update. Does anybody have any
I just
questions,
have
Jan?
one question. How far do you reach out around the community? How far north, south? What's your reach? You know what I'm saying?
North to Pine River, south past Little Falls, west, we have a couple members in Motley, and east Garrison. We do have a couple members that live in the Twin Cities. They maybe have summer cabins up here, so they're summer residents. So that's kind of our geographic
Okay.
area, but there are a few outside and beyond that, but
So
the
there's-
bulk of them are within that area.
So they're bringing people into the town, that's what counts.
Yes, yes. And Jan was involved with our, helping to plan our veteran event. The cool thing about that event is there were veteran organizations in our community that we worked with last year, the first time. This year, we kind of just took the same thing and tweaked it a little bit, but other organizations donated prizes to make it fun this year. They did not have to give us financial support because I had an organization call and offer a grant, which that just doesn't happen real often. So it was fabulous to be able to do a dinner and a fun evening for veterans.
Thank you, that was very nice, yes.
That's good. Anything else?
Any other comments, questions? No. Thanks a lot for coming in.
Thank you.
That brings us to the 7th item on our agenda, council committee reports. We'll start with 7A, the Safety and Public Works Committee. Alderman Bevins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We've got the 6 items as posted, and we request to add a 7th item, which is the Northwest 3rd and Jackson Street survey. That'll be item number 7, Northwest 3rd Street and Jackson Street survey. So item number 1 is the event street closure application. This is a request, it actually isn't a street closure, I don't think, by the Brainerd JCs for the Homeless Heroes 5K to be held on December 7th, 2019 from 8:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. on the trails along College Drive, around Boom Lake, and around the CLC campus. The motion is to approve the attached event application.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I have one question of the engineer. We approved a 5K event around Boom Lake at our last meeting for December. Was that the same day and same time? It was the mental health awareness 5K?
Yeah, and it's the same route too.
Yeah.
It should be in the meeting.
You can't get enough December runs.
Yeah, well, we're going to have 2 on the same day, possibly on the same route.
I don't think 2's enough.
Place May 9th.
I think I need at least 3.
Mental health is May 9th.
Oh, May 9th. That wasn't December 7th. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's my 50th.
All right, I was confused. That's 2 different dates, same route. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item number 2 is also an event street closure application for the annual Turkey Run. This request is a street closure application to be held Thursday, November 28th, 2019, from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m., beginning at the National Guard Armory on Wright Street. The motion is to approve the attached event application under the condition that the applicant requests the temporary no parking signs 1 week prior to the event, and that the banners or other advertisements for the event get removed after the event conclusion. And I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? 1 point for Alderman Erickson. Just so you know, Sue Hilgart and her daughter ran it in tutus last year and won best costume. So if you want to continue to fill in.
You can call.
I think
So and see if they got it
that
too.
goes without saying that it should be carried
Yep.
on.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item number 3 is improvement 19-01, the Northwest 4th Street reconstruction roundabout aesthetic treatments. As you can see, there's a couple of different levels of treatments that could be considered. The consensus, there was no motion out of committee, was to stick similar to what we have already on College Drive, keeping in mind low maintenance costs are a priority, and as well as initial costs. And that was the consensus. We're certainly interested. There's no motion necessary. We've got some public hearings on this. Correct, Mr. Engineer?
We didn't
Coming
move
up?
the public meeting.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the plan would be, if we have a consensus here tonight or a motion, whatever you guys prefer, we would give this to their landscape architects to come up with something that's low maintenance and looks similar to College Drive and bring it back for you guys to take a look at.
All right, but the motion would be to stay similar to College Drive, keeping low initial costs as well as low maintenance costs a priority, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I think we also, Kelly, I think we also wanted to make sure we had good signage. So, yeah, it does that. I think that's important.
Well,
Yeah, okay, then, and my motion, if it's all right, Mr. Chair, would be to include directional signage.
Thank you.
And good signage. Okay, yeah, I support this motion. I obviously want good aesthetics, but I would prefer to save money because roads are inherently ugly. You just kind of want to get to where you're going. So put a little tree in the middle isn't going to do that much for me. But College Drive was pretty expensive compared to just doing like a concrete medium, right? Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see the costs come back. We want it to look as good as possible for as cheap as possible, for inexpensive as possible, I think is what I was hearing.
One thing that we were saying is, as far as the aesthetics looking like College Drive, was kind of this color scheme to kind of tie things together. And we were also talking about possibility of trees, but we wanted to see what the maintenance and the initial cost would be.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Maybe rubber chips instead of wood chips and things like that. No dirt. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The second part motion on this item is to set the public information meeting number 1 for the project for November 26th from 6:30 PM to 8 PM. I don't think that conflicts with any of your 5Ks.
Good.
You need a second
Yeah, he
on
needs
that?
a second.
I'll second that.
I wouldn't mind if it did. We have a motion and a second to set the public meeting, and if I saw it in the minutes, you have it, or in the agenda, you're going to do it at the chamber?
Yep.
So it'll be at the Chamber of Commerce, in the CTC room. Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item number 4 is the Safe Routes to School Engineering Study Grant Opportunity. The motion is to direct staff to further along the grant application process and the schools prioritized as Harrison, then Lowell, and Riverside. And I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Oh, Mr. Chair, just the staff will be working with the school district as well as far as furthering this grant application.
Yeah, and I hope we do, because there are changes taking place in those schools. So it's number 1 Harrison, number 2 Lowell, number 3 Riverside?
Correct.
Good, because I'm really hoping Harrison can get some north-south sidewalks, and I think it's the most cost-effective safe routes to school we can do, because there's probably only going to need about 4 blocks to get all of the east-west corridors in southeast kind of covered. So,
And Mr. Chair, I believe there's no cost to the city on this? Is
Well,
that
it's a-
staff time?
This
Is that
staff time.
Staff time.
that's expensive. I kid. Any other discussion?
Too expensive.
Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Mr. Chair, item number 5 is the Technology Enhanced Traffic Control Policy. I'm going to let, Paul, if you want, do you want to talk a little about this, or can you? And then, but there is no motion on this. Expectations are we'll take a look at it as you're driving around, think about what the engineer is going to tell us, and we'll come back with hopefully a motion in the near future.
So it's really what this policy was developed. So I worked a little bit with the city of Elk River on developing this policy. The MUTCD, which is the manual that we as engineers look to guide us in traffic control principles, really doesn't cover any of these types of devices. So we're talking the LED signs, either with one diode on it or the actual all the way around the outside that flash continuously, the speed radar feedback signs, and the RFRBs, which are the ones we see out here on Laurel Street. And so why this policy may be necessary, and I'll leave it up to you guys to determine that, is since everything is silent on it, as we get more and more people asking to put these in, from a staff perspective, we would like some criteria to not only first have certain items to try first before, because these are expensive treatments. They're not something that we can go out as a street department staff and put up to RFRBs. And it's going to cost money, number one, and it's going to take a budgeting process to do that. These are low-cost treatment alternatives that we, as staff, would like to have a policy around to consider first before we go out and look at installing one of these 3 treatments, like a radar sign or an RFRB. Another reason why this should be considered is there's, some people, at least in the engineering community, that some of these items take away takes some of the onus off pedestrians to be safe pedestrians also. So, for example, RFRBs on Laurel Street here, there's some circumstances where now people will simply press the button and start walking without looking both ways. is that necessarily what we want? You know, we start putting these things in multiple locations where they're not warranted, we might start seeing some more unsafe practices. So what this policy does is it gives us treatment alternatives to consider first before, and hopefully that resolves the issue. And if it doesn't, it gives us the alternative of moving forward into something that is a little more aggressive, like a radar sign or an RFRB or something like that.
Thank you, Mr. Engineer. So the issue is not just the placement of these, but it's giving staff some sort of direction as to how we want them to be considered, because putting them on every intersection certainly would defeat the purpose, plus be expensive. So there's other issues to consider. The other thing is if you have one on every block, then drivers tend to be less considerate of them, so. Yeah, that's it. We have no motion.
There's no motion.
We
It's gonna
expect
come back in 2
We
weeks.
wanted to introduce to you what the staff's thoughts on bringing this policy forward. We'd like to approve a policy in the near future, but we'd like to have everybody, now that you know the issue, and I believe the issue is quite simply that they're out there. There's going to be more and more of them being seen in our community and in other communities. People are going to be asking staff and you as a council member, hey, how come I can't get one of these things, right? And then everybody's going to want one. So, which somewhat, a policy would be greatly appreciated, I know, as to what we're going to try and, in kind of an order of how we'll approve of things. So, okay, thanks, Mr. Engineer. That was that. Last up is so with that, we'll be coming back. So please pay attention as you're driving around. Item number 6 is the tree policy. The motion is to adopt the attached policy with the proposed change on cottonwood trees to not allow any new growth cottonwood trees. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the policy with the addition of not allowing exempting existing cottonwood trees and not allowing new cottonwood trees to be planted.
Correct.
Is there any discussion?
And one thing I was thinking about and mentioned it to the city engineer, what we need to do is establish a girth for what would be considered a grandfathered in cottonwood tree. Because part of the problem is if you've got a cottonwood tree, an old cottonwood tree, it's gonna cost you $1,000 to take it out. Whereas one of these smaller ones, it costs you a chainsaw in a few minutes. So they can look at that and see how long it takes for maturity and girth and give us some recommendations on what would be grandfathered in. So that way that one little seedling that's there, you can't say, okay, that one's grandfathered in.
There, it exists.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
And our last additional item, number 7, the Northwest 3rd and Jackson surveying. The motion is, as part of our reconstruction coming up of 4th Street, is to hire Bolton Mink up to $4,000 to do the surveying now on the potential additional part of that project, which would be the Northwest 3rd Jackson project. We've received the, no, that's the motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We did receive, we had paid to have our assessments verified. Is that a correct way to have the potential assessments verified along the project? And that report has come back favorable that it is likely that to support 100% assessment on the initial project. So, on the additional project. There is no assessments on the initial project.
Question then, have we talked to the property owners on 3rd and Jackson? Like, are they interested with what it came back with?
We've talked to them, but now we're looking at taking the next step. The problem becomes is without having the survey, we don't have any concrete evidence. This survey, which we want to get done before the snow flies, is time sensitive, which is why it's on our agenda tonight, so that we can take it to those stakeholders correct?
Yeah, and if I may,
With a-
Mr. President, so we were planning on trying to get a proposal in front of you guys from Bolton and Mink to do the entire design and engineering construction services for us too. We weren't able to get that. They did give us this cost for the surveying, and I plan on getting that from them before the December 4th meeting. And in the meantime, I'm also going to continue my conversations with the property owner, singular, and there's one other one, about that project taking place. So we should have a lot more information coming forward at the next meeting.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, we're authorizing up to $4,000 to Bolton and Mink to do a study on 3rd Street and Jackson Street. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
End of report. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Bevins. This brings us to 7B, the Personnel and Finance Committee. Alderman Bedeau.
All right, we have 11 original items, and we do have one additional item, which we are placing at 2B, just to keep our numbers succinct. So, item number 1 is payment of bills and transfer of funds. And I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the payment of bills. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote by roll call.
Stunek.
Yes.
Pritchett.
Yes.
Bevins.
Yes?
Badeau.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Lampert.
Yes,
Johnson.
Yes, that motion carries.
All right, item number 2 is the 2020 nuisance assessment at 623 3rd Avenue Northeast. And the motion coming out of committee is to waive the full 2020 assessment of $1,325. And I so move.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
So this is a situation where a family had an at-risk family member that was living in a house. They are now purchasing that property. They are scheduled to pay a little over $3,000 on outstanding nuisances for the tax years of 2015, 2016, and 2019. This family member has now been placed in a facility, and they're looking to have the last bit here, the 2020 assessment waived, and our motion was to allow so.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
All right, item number 2B. This is the nuisance assessment for the roof maintenance at 1006 South 6th Street in Brainerd. And the motion coming out of committee is to waive the full 2020 assessment for the property 1006 South 6th Street at a total of $750, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
All right, item number 3 is the deferment and adoption of assessment at 1004 H Street, IMP 17-06 and 17-07. And the motion coming out of committee, we have 2 motions here. First is to adopt the attached resolution PID 41191721, and I so move.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the attached resolution. Any discussion?
Yeah, so basically we need to adopt it first and then have our motion to either approve or deny the deferment. So either way, we have to adopt the resolution either way.
Wouldn't you just remove PID 411-91721 from the resolution?
I've had a head shake at me.
I would say no, because other than when the property is sold, we will be able to collect the assessment. If we completely waive it, then it was never against the property. Basically, by deferment, we're setting a lien against the property.
Makes sense. So we have a motion to adopt the resolution. We'll vote by roll. Any other discussion? We'll vote by roll call.
Stunek.
Yes.
Pritchett.
Yes.
Bevins.
Yes.
Badeau.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Lampert.
yes,
Johnson.
Yes, that motion carries.
All right, so the second part of this is, the motion is to approve the deferment of assessment for the year 2020, for PID 41191721, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
So we've had a pretty long discussion about this one. It was on our agenda last time. We moved it to this one so we could have a little bit more information and further discussion about it. The committee felt that in this instance, it's a pretty unique circumstance in which a property which is 3 3 parcels wide, is then having complete reconstruction of 2 roads on the property because it's a corner lot. That's a pretty unique circumstance that is probably not going to happen in any future or anytime soon. So that was our decision.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
All right, item number, what are we on, 4?
Yep.
Works for me.
This is the deferment of assessments, and the motion coming out of committee is to approve the deferment for the applicants, the assessment payable into 2020 for all of the applicants in PIDs 4119120, 41300, and 41191751. And I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
So in this instance, we've got the first 2, 4A and 4B, both meet the requirements for hardship, and C meets the requirements for disability.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
All right. And number 5 is Community Service Officer resignation. The motion out of committee is to accept with regret the letter of resignation for Jerome Sandin. And I so move.
Second.
A motion and a second to accept with regret. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
All right. Our next is Police Officer resignation. And our motion coming out of committee is to accept with regret the Officer Bolter's resignation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept a resignation with regret. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
All right, next up is the police officer out-of-state travel and training, and the motion coming out of committee is to authorize out-of-state travel and training for investigator Rund to attend a sexual assault investigation training in Rapid City, South Dakota on November 20th and 21st. And I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to authorize the out-of-state travel. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
All right, the next item is Animal Control Service Contract. So the motion coming out of committee here is to direct staff to negotiate with Mr. O'Brien to try and come up with a suitable contract, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to direct staff to go back to further negotiate a more suitable contract for both sides. Is there any discussion?
I just have one. Are we having good luck with this contract?
We've heard nothing but positive things, both from a couple of residents and then also Corky as well. And Patrick, yeah. He's high ambitions, and it looks like he wants to kind of take the more furthering steps to try and educate the public about the process, and looks to be a great fit. However, it's basically double what our contract has been, and our contract has been pretty steady for multiple years. So hearing that, we felt that it was appropriate to go back to negotiations and see if we can't find a suitable compromise.
Excellent. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
All right, item number 9, River to Rails. So the motion coming out of committee is to refund the permit fees for both the Knotty Pine Bakery and Bob and Franz at the amount of $1966.39 and $830.75, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
So on this one here, having looked at the scenario here, we've got 2 items here basically that are the same and yet a little bit different. One is with the Knotty Pine Bakery, we approved the waiving of permit fees for the River to Rails corridor. This application was placed the day that we made that policy, but was prior to us making the policy, so we felt that that was appropriate. In the case of Bob and Franz, this is a scenario where maybe some miscommunication on our part to the community, and the business owner had believed that there was not a need for permit, and therefore was then charged double, which is our policy, for the permit fee that was done. We think this is a good opportunity to do two things. One, educate the public as to what the case is, and two, use this as the example of, well, now we know. You know, if there was some kind of miscommunication and people weren't understanding that that's what the policy is and that's how it works, this is now the instance to further educate and make sure that we're pushing forward. From our committee, the feelings that we had was that the last thing we want to do is take these business owners that are taking the steps to clean up and beautify our downtown and then slap them on the wrist for having done so. We do have regulations, but in this instance, we felt that it's a good opportunity to show some good faith to the people that are looking to invest in our downtown.
All right, any other discussion?
So we're just letting the public know that you do need to apply for a permit. So-
Yeah, this is
Still need a permit,
still,
but your
yeah.
your permit fee will be forgiven outside of the state surcharge.
It's always a good idea to contact the city
City.
before.
Yes, yeah. And in this instance, you know, we just want to make sure that we're being clear on it. I think the last thing we want to do is send that kind of negative image towards something that is such an improvement in the right direction. Bob and Fran's looks fantastic, and I want to encourage more places to do that. However, so you are aware, members of the public, permits are still required.
I'd like to thank your committee for taking this up. I fully agree with you, and I'd like to also thank City Administrator Thureen for getting this on a council agenda finally. This is good. This is good. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
All right, item number 10 is the 2019 audit engagement letter. And the motion coming out of committee is to approve the engagement letter as submitted and authorize signatures of engagement letter and HIPAA Business Associates Agreement. And I so move.
Second.
Do we need a cost on that?
Do we need to, I'm
We
sorry.
have a
Yeah,
motion and a second. Is there any discussion, Dave?
The cost on this is $46,020, which is the same as last year.
And part of that fee will be paid for by the airport.
Which, is that new?
No, they've always paid for it, but last year we based it off of revenue instead of just the flat dollar amount, and so that's about $5,000.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to approve the engagement letter and all proper signatures. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, we will vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
All right, and the last one is a little bit more for informational purposes. It is the 2020 budget discussion for non-working funds. And in front of you, you have a full list there. We went through it at the committee level and just spoke of it. The only thing that may be of real note there is the library fund, which they are asking for a 2.5% increase over last year. But the rest of the items there are pretty standard and will be a part of our further budgeting talk. So the information's there if you're interested.
All right, FYI.
All right, end of report.
Thank you, Alderman Bedeau. That brings us to unfinished business. Call for applicants. Mayor Menk.
Okay. We need to have a couple of people apply for applications for our various committees. I will bring up the following. Each of these terms will expire on 12/31 of the year that I state. On Cable TV Advisory Committee, one term expiring 2019, two terms expiring 2021. The Charter Commission, two terms expiring 2020, one term expiring 2021, and one term expiring 2022. Also, the EDA has a term expiring in 2020, but the date of that expiration is 9/07 of that year, 7th of September, because the EDA was started on that date back in history. Other is our Tower Fundraising Committee. Applicants are needed to help with the projects. I know that Dave Bedeau has been working diligently at it, and he needs some help. So step up if you're interested. Thank you. By the way, all the applications are available at the City Hall or online. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Mank. Alderman Bedeau, is there, you want to touch on your Water Tower Committee and what you're looking for?
Yeah,
or
what
who you're
we're
look-
looking to do is expand the committee. We're a small group, and we wanted to keep it that way for the beginning of the process so we could get through the initial fundraising efforts and moving into the grant application that we are very close to receiving. We've moved on to the last step, so all we got to get them to do is sign off on it. But we're at the point now where we need workers, we need help, and we need ideas. And at this point, we want to open up the committee to as many people as humanly possible that can come and help out and sit down at the table. So basically, we need hands,
Hands.
all hands on.
So if you have a hand, fill out your committee application.
We will also accept feet.
We'll also accept feet. Yeah,
Anything
it'll be the
between,
same
too.
committee application that all other committee applicants fill out at City Hall, just Water Tower Committee. And that ends unfinished business, brings us to item number 9 on the agenda, which is the public forum, time allocated for citizens to bring matters not on the agenda to the attention of the council. Time limits may be imposed. Is anybody here to speak at public forum? Is anybody here to speak at public forum? Is anybody here to speak at public forum? Seeing nobody rise, I will go on to the council member reports, and we will start over with Alderman Bedeau.
Nothing to report.
Ditto, I have nothing tonight.
Same.
Same.
I have something to report.
Oh.
No, I don't. We'll move on.
I have nothing to report.
I'm good.
Mayor Mick?
The only thing I can report is that Armistice Day happened over at the high school. We had a great turnout, and I had a chance to sit next to the honorary person. Is our lone survivor of Baton, and we probably chatted more during the speeches than we should have, but it was a great learning experience for myself. So I wish to say thank you to all the members of the VFW Legion, of all the members that are veterans for putting it on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. I finally have a paper agenda in front of me, and I flipped staff reports and council member reports. So it's staff reports. Connie?
Nothing to report.
Joe? David? Paul?
Come on, Paul.
We were batting 1,000.
Okay.
Let's talk about mosquitoes.
Just wanted to bring up, so I don't know if we should adjourn this meeting for the public meeting on the 26th, or if we want to do that after the budget workshop. Just want to bring that forward. City Hall remodel going very well. Most of the demolition on first and second floor is complete. It's going to be kind of dead the rest of the week, and they're waiting on HVAC equipment so that they can start putting that in. So just a quick update on that. If you want to take a tour of what it looks like in City Hall when it's all tore apart, then you can come up and talk to me. So I'm in the council chambers.
Oh, you'll be seeing me sometime in the next 2 weeks.
With everybody else.
And then, Police Chief McQuiston, nothing? Got all staff. That brings us to the next item, and that,
Just council member reports.
which is council member reports. Any updates since your last report?
Can I ask the attorney or Dave about anything? or-
Yeah.
Shook their heads.
So, no updates? That means we're ready to go to closed session pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.05 Subdivision 3C3 to consider counteroffers for the purchase of property at 304 Washington Street West, 422 4th Street Northwest, 623 4th Street Northwest, 502 Jackson Street, 424 3rd Street Northwest, and 622 4th Street Northwest, all in Brainerd, Minnesota 56401.
I'm sure if you stand outside the door, you can hear everything.
It's not quiet.
No.
So moved.
So move.
Thank.
We have a motion from Alderman Bedeau, a second from Pritchett to go into closed session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, we're in closed